Yay Media Group.
Here's my other question. A lot of people have been up to space. So space meaning you're outside Earth's atmosphere, right? And then you're floating around like that. This is going to sound weird.
How do you go to the bathroom?
Well, no, they actually showed like the bathroom and stuff.
How do you think
There's got to be some sort of suction. You know what I mean? Because like liquid just floats up.
Well, that's
and
what I
poop
was.
would just float around.
Well, there's gotta,
There's got to be some sort of
You
suction.
just shoot it out in space and your poop is just
Space
floating.
poop. Yeah, why not? Fire it out there.
Hey guys, episode 232. I don't know if we shared with y'all. Over the weekend, Leighton had broke another TV. Did we share that?
No, we didn't.
And it's our podcast TV that we use whenever so we can see ourselves. So it's not like awkward. So we're not like looking down. So we're actually looking up at the camera.
So it's also if we have a guest or a producer's on, we're looking at the screen right now, but it kind of looks like we're looking eye level. So that's why we have that on. He broke it.
But now all I see are these lines and we're just gonna roll with it.
So it's kind of right down the middle. To the right of me, I negotiated this shuffleboard table. It's a mini shuffleboard table when we bought our furniture. Remember that?
Oh, yes, I do.
Because I'm like, listen, I'll buy that couch, but I want that shuffleboard table too. And they kept going back and forth in the room. I love a good deal. I love to haggle. But he flew one of those discs. And if you guys know shuffleboard, that's real heavy metal. And I don't know how he got it outside there, but he fired it out and it smashed right in the middle of the TV. So between me and Jordan here, there's just a big black line.
You guys, it was so pitiful. Leighton, I'm in the bed and I hear him just crying. And I'm like, what is going on? So I get up and I ask him, what is wrong with you? He got in his piggy bank that I bought him and he goes, here's all my money, take my money. And he was like, buy a new TV. And it was really sad.
So if you watch our Amazon Lives that Jordan does, I do too every Sunday, there'll probably be a TV on one of those episodes coming soon.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
But anyways, speaking of the past, April Fool's just passed, right? Mm-hmm. This is actually Good Friday when we're filming this. So I hope everybody had a good Easter out there. This will be coming out Monday. But April Fool's Day was a couple of days ago. And I don't know, we were talking about this a little bit on the show because I always get there a little early and they're like, hey, do you want to play pranks or do something like that? And I'm like, you know what? I don't think so. And it's kind of sad because I used to like my favorite thing to do is prank people. But
do you remember when you and I were dating and you would put a cup of water at the top of the door and when Peyton would walk out, it would land on him, the water? I put
fake mice in the cabinet so when he opened it, they'd fall out. I love pranks. And even at Daily Blast Live, my old job, I used to prank them all the time, like jump out and scare people and do pranks.
That's my favorite.
Yeah. I used to film it towards the end there. But I love prank. I don't know why. It's just funny to me. And I like when people prank me, you know. And I don't know, I feel like that's kind of going away. Like I was a little scared, like, do you want to prank, your co-host, Denise? And I was like, I don't know. Like, I don't want to catch her off guard or think like we're making fun of her in any way. And then she actually said something in because we talked a little bit about it on the top of the show. And she actually sent in the idea of like, is April Fool's Day dead? And I'm like, I like that conversation better than pranking her. And then her getting offended. And then people, it's just like in the workplace, it's not that type of atmosphere anymore.
I think it depends on who you're with. I think like Daily Blast Live, because you were with those people for 8 years, it's different. And you know who you can prank and who you can't because you know their personalities more. You've only been at this job like 6 months.
No, I've been there a year.
Have you?
Yeah.
You have?
Yeah.
Oh.
I started last St. Patrick's Day.
Wow.
Uh-huh.
Time really does go by fast. Okay, well, a year.
But either way, I still don't feel comfortable popping out from behind somewhere with anybody
and
at work.
Scaring because you don't know if somebody's going to be like, oh, so annoying, or if they're having a bad day.
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel, it makes me sad because I don't mind like my neighbors and stuff or my family or good friends. I still joke around and do pranks. It's just everybody is so sensitive. I'm not, picking out anyone in particular. I'm just saying the vibe of life right now is so sensitive. Like someone just might be offended and I don't know. I have no idea what people are thinking anymore.
I got the boys, all they did when I picked them up were telling me all the April Fool's jokes that like kids did or that teachers did at school. And they were really into it this year. I should have planned something, but I didn't. I don't know. I just didn't think they were going to be into it, but Leighton loved it.
Yeah, I know though. Our kids would love it. You know, I don't know. It's just the fun's going away. Everybody's a victim of something. I'm not going to go down that road, but it's just, I miss the fun. I miss just good old fun. I'm not out to hurt anybody's feelings or anything like that.
Maybe just do it and then just see. And then if you get yelled at, you get yelled at.
But it's not getting yelled at. Now it's like HR. Like, what did you mean when you did that? I don't know. I was just trying to scare somebody. Well, do you know that person's past that they were? No, I didn't. I'm sorry. Jeez. I don't want to go through that whole thing. You know?
Yeah.
And who knows what, I just don't know anymore. So I always talk about like, don't stay in your bubble. In these circumstances, I stay in my bubble.
There were a couple things that I got tricked on Instagram. Like people posted, oh, we have a reality show coming out. I'm like, oh, good for them. I'm going to watch. And like, congratulations. Or somebody putting, oh, I'm going to be on Dancing with the Stars. And I'm like, oh, wow, that's so great. And then I'm like, today's April 1st.
I did too.
I totally fell for it. And then there was one, somebody wrote me, actually had posted it about somebody thought you were going to be on like Big Brother All-Stars. But that was like April
you
Fool's
told me
thing.
About that.
Yeah. But I didn't know what it was. I didn't watch the video. Somebody's like, is this true? I was like, oh, no, it's not.
Why do you answer that?
I don't know. I just try to answer everybody.
Jerry Ferrera, he was Turtle on Entourage.
Yeah.
And he posted like new season of Entourage coming soon.
And you fell for it?
I liked it. And I clicked it. I'm like, oh yeah, that's awesome. So I went to see the comments. So like, I wish Jerry, and I was like, oh, I got.
Because you forget that it's April Fool's.
I know, I did forget. But I like having those pranks. And speaking of that, it leads us into what else I wanted to talk about today. If you're a conspiracy person out there, get ready. Because ironically, if you guys all know that Artemis 2 went to the moon, and I love space stuff. I love talking about things like that. But ironically, they did that on April 1st. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So if you're a conspiracy person, you're like, wait a second, why would you pick that day out of all days to launch that?
I normally don't have the TV on. I always have music playing. And that day I was running around all day. And then I finally sat down and I was sore from like working out in the gym. I was like, man, this feels so good. And I just so happened to turn on the news, which I never really watch the news because it's just so negative. And I was like, wait, somebody's going to the moon? And I got into it. And I'm like, wait, I want to watch them take off. So I was like looking to see if I was going to be back in time after pickup. Cause I think they took off at like 4:23. Wasn't it something like that?
Yeah.
Whenever I got home. And then I told the boys about it. And their gym teacher told them about it. So then they wanted to come home and watch it. Then we had our neighborhood kids over here and we're all watching the spaceship take off. But my thing, I wish there was a camera facing the astronauts.
Yes, that's what I told you.
So we could get a reaction of, or like see their faces of what it's like to take off. You would have to put me out. Like I could not, I would be freak. I have to take a Xanax before I get on an airplane because I freak out about takeoff. Imagine being on a spaceship.
Well, I remember, so I was a little nervous watching. I was like, I think that's cool. I don't know if you guys like that. So I love it. I think it's cool. It's very American, you know. Yeah. I don't know. I just like space exploration and things like that. What's out there, the other universes, things like that. Are you yawning while I'm talking?
No, I just had like a little bit of a yawn. I had to get it out.
Well, obviously you're not interested. Whatever. You know what? I don't care what you're interested in. If you're passionate about it, I'll listen to you. I don't care if it's coin collecting or you like to zoom in on what ants' faces look like. If you're passionate about it, sign me up. I'm in. I'll talk to you all day. What ants'
faces look like?
Because I just saw a video. Do you ever seen an ant like close up?
Okay, so I got Leighton for his birthday, this magnifying.
No, I mean really close up.
Well, I don't think it's like, I mean, it's close up, but not maybe like really, all right, really
you tell
close
I'm going to get you a close up of an ant's face.
I got it off Amazon. You actually, okay, so let's say you have your bug. You put this magnifying thing on top of the let's say ant, because Jeff just used the example of ant. And then you can look in and you can zoom in, zoom out. And I think it's the coolest thing because Leighton loves bugs.
I'm going to put a picture up here. That's a close up of an ant's face.
Ooh.
It looks like the devil.
It's creepy.
But if you're into it and you want to talk about it, I'm in. You kind of got thrown off track here. What was I talking about?
Speaking of ants, I know we're talking about outer space and how you're passionate about space and astronauts. But speaking of ants, the other day, the boys must have spilt some sugar, like a popsicle or something. So many ants. And all I think about is that story you told me, how the ants are so smart how there's like the queen.
Yeah.
But I had to get rid of them. Sorry, I had to spray them all. There were too many. I was like, sorry, guys. And they're all dead.
They communicate I don't know if they talk,
but that's all I was thinking about.
They're amazing. I don't want to go like that, but it's so interesting. We'll save that ant story for another day. But it's fascinating. Just like their own little worlds, you know?
I know. As I'm spraying them, I was like, oh no, I think I got the queen.
What if they're aliens, but they're just really small? What if they're aliens, but they're just really small? Well, spring has sprung and it's a time for change, but I'm not really down with change. I like a good routine.
Yes, our routine is changing with sports now, but the only thing that's not changing is sticking with our AG1.
That's right.
Every single morning, I'll speak for myself. I do 4 ounces of water, 1 scoop of AG1, shake, I'm out the door. Or sometimes I grab vitamin D3, K2, put a couple drops in there, and I'm ready to go. And then I have energy throughout the day. I love the flavors. Citrus, okay, I always said berry was my favorite. Citrus and tropical are my favorite now.
Yeah, I'm good with the original. I'm going to be honest. Everyone asks, do you really take that every single day? Yes, we take it every single day. And recently we almost ran out because we give it to our neighbors, our friends, our family. When they come in, we try to get them on the AG1 train and we almost ran out and I panicked. I was like, what am I going to do? We got to order some more. That's how much I rely, and I didn't even know it, on having AG1 every single morning.
I know. I looked in the pantry and I was like, wait, I need more AG1. And I can always tell when I don't take my AG1, and I love it for gut health. That's huge for me.
And the weather's changing now, so it helps with your immune system and things like that. I just like to keep things as consistent as I can with the crazy chaoticness of life, if that's even a word.
It is now.
It is now. We'll leave it in there.
Go to drinkag1.com/togetherness to get an AG1 flavor sampler and a bottle of vitamin D3 K2 for free in your AG1 welcome kit with your AG1 subscription order. That's a $72 value. Yours free only while supplies last. Go to drinkag1.com/togetherness. Okay, now you're getting like weird.
You know what I think
I don't believe in aliens.
I think octopus are aliens. They're fascinating and very intelligent too. And they're kind of like, they could do crazy things. Like
I just saw a fisherman.
They could open like pickle jars to like get food inside.
Ew. See, no.
Yeah, they're fascinating.
Going back to outer space, I'm sorry.
This is why I like talking about things like this, because if you have a couple drinks or you like to smoke some weed, it really gets interesting.
Oh.
But anyways, going back to the rocket launch, I was a little nervous about them taking off because I still remember when I was a kid, we were in the science room. I think I was in grammar school. I could kind of picture, I don't know if I'm remembering a memory or remembering the exact location, but I remember we watched that in school and the spaceship blew up. Like we took off of school.
You were in school then?
I think I was in grammar school.
That was in 85. You were in grammar school?
Yeah, I was in grammar school. So I was 6. Maybe I wasn't. Why do I remember that memory? Maybe I watched it on TV. I feel like I was in Miss Cassateri's room. I don't know. I still remember her name. That was my science teacher in grammar school.
Maybe you were.
It was in 1985 when that happened.
My mom, we were talking about it And she said, I remember being in Louisiana. Your sister was little. And I go, oh, I was born. It was 86. And my mom's like, no, it was 85. And I thought it was 86. But my mom's like, I watched it. And it
January 28th, 1986. So I would have been 8 years old.
Okay. My mom was pregnant with me. And she goes, you weren't born yet because I'm November. And she goes, I remember being at home with your sister and watching it. And she said there was a teacher on board.
Yes.
And it blew up.
Maybe I'm getting all confused. But I remember watching it wherever I was or however old I was, and it blew up. Mm-hmm. So that memory, or the memory of that memory, when we were watching it, I was like, man, like you said, I'm like, I wish they had cameras inside, so you could see them. They got up to speeds of 17,000 miles per hour. That's insane. Like, I know you train like as a pilot to take those G's and things like that, but how do you train for 17,000 miles per hour? You got to be wearing some kind of suit.
There has to be something,
and I would assume they pass out. I don't know. I have no idea.
That's where I was going to get at, that you would pass out.
But it's all computerized. Like, I was listening to them talk about it. So like, it was all computerized once they take off. So that's got to be for if they pass out, I would think. I don't know. I'm kind of just talking out of my ass here, but I just think it's fascinating. So they're going to be up there. They're going to use the moon's gravity and the Earth's gravity to like kind of do a figure eight.
How long does that take?
I think they said 5 days or something.
Only 5 days?
5 or 10 days.
I thought it was going to be like a
thing. But what I'm trying to say is, like, there's one lady on there who's almost spent a year in space, technically. Mm-hmm. So that's pretty cool. I just don't know why. And this is what I wanted to talk about. Why we interview people that climb Mount Everest. We interview people that do once in a lifetime things. They're very popular. Podcasts are popular now. Why aren't people who walked on the moon the most popular people on this planet? Like, why aren't they on every single podcast? Why aren't they on Joe Rogan, Theo Vaughn? Why aren't those? I looked up. There's still some people that are alive. Do you know how many people walked on the moon?
1?
No. There's 12 people total that have set foot on the moon, all of whom were American men participating in the Apollo program from 1969 to 1972.
But then why aren't these people?
1972 of December was the last time we had somebody on the moon.
But why aren't these people landing on the moon? They're right there.
They don't have the capacity with this rocket, from what I understand, to land, which is crazy because we did it way back when.
Oh, here we go.
This is what I'm getting at.
This is where Jeff is getting at.
I'm going to be honest with you guys. I know I sound crazy, and everyone who's a conspiracy theorist these days are crazy. I'm not 100%. I'm not 100% that we landed, but it's too big of a secret to cover up. But my questioning is, why aren't these guys everywhere? Everyone knows Buzz Aldrin, right? He's still alive. Buzz Aldrin's still alive. This other guy, David Scott from Apollo 15 is alive. Charles Duke from Apollo 16 and Harrison Schmitt from Apollo 17. He's the last guy to walk on the moon. He's 90 years old. Why don't we know the name Harrison Schmitt? Why isn't he on every podcast? Why isn't he on every single Late Show?
I never thought of it that way.
Yeah. I don't get it.
Did he sign something like he has to stay quiet?
No. Like, Harrison Schmitt, if you're out there, please come on our podcast. I'd love to talk to you. For real. Like, and then I talk to other people are like, dude, you're crazy. Like, why would we go up there? It's just rocks. Well, how do we know? Do we do digging in there? What if there's some kind of metal underneath the surface of a moon that we could mine and it's worth trillions, or we can make new technology out? Why aren't we mining things off of there to test that and see if there's something that we could use in our cell phones, in whatever it is that we use? Am I sounding insane right now?
Maybe I don't know. Maybe they're more worried about the people's lives because somebody could die out there. I think that's terrifying. What if you're on the moon and somehow you blew away and you were just floating, and then you're floating in outer space?
Yeah, that's terrifying to think about.
Yeah, that sounds like a movie,
you'd have to
starve
to death?
Yeah, and then you starve to death. Or
get hit by a meteor?
Yeah, exactly. It's like a movie.
Well, I don't know how we got up there in 1969. And the last time that we were there was what? What did I say?
I'm sure there's things.
72?
I'm sure there's things that they're not sharing with us that they
But
don't
we
want
could land
public
back
to
then,
know.
but now we're not landing now. But they plan on landing a year from now. I just don't like, why aren't, there's 4 people in the entire world that have walked on the moon that are still alive. And nobody knows their names besides Buzz Aldrin.
I don't know any of their names. I remember seeing it in my textbooks at school.
And there's 12 people total that have walked
Maybe
on the
they
moon.
never did.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Why? Listen, I'm pretty sure we did. But why aren't they? I just said I'm not 100% sure. And why aren't we landing now? Why are we taking this trip? Like, why are we just circling the moon?
Well, maybe it's something that they're not telling us. Maybe there's something that they know. I don't trust anybody.
I don't even read a story now without being like, that's bullshit.
Yeah.
I'm like totally old man, get off my lawn guy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe anything. And here's my other question. A lot of people have been up to space. So space meaning you're outside Earth's atmosphere, right? And then you're floating around like that. This is going to sound weird.
How do you go to the bathroom?
Well, no, they actually showed like the bathroom and stuff.
How do you think
There's got to be some sort of suction. You know what I mean? Because like liquid just floats up.
Well, that's
and
what I
poop
was-
would just float around.
Well, there's gotta, yeah.
There's got to be some sort of
You
suction.
just shoot it out in space and your poop is just
Space
floating.
poop. Yeah, why not fire it out there? But here's my other question. People are going to think I'm really nuts. Has anyone ever had sex in non-gravity scenario? And would that not be the best porno ever made? What?
That is so random.
Well, I told you, my mind just wanders.
This is what you think about?
Because that, I mean,
I think everybody
sex,
that goes up to space.
you don't think anyone's got like a space blowy or something?
No.
What else are you doing up there?
You think they hook up there?
And is it cheating if you're not technically on Earth? I say go for it. If you ever go to the moon
I was up in space with another man,
and you want to give a space blowy, you can. I think it's not cheating. But it goes the same for me.
No.
What do you mean no? When are you going to get an opportunity to have space sex?
Be like, okay, Becky, I want a blowjob.
Lieutenant Becky?
Yeah, Lieutenant Becky.
No, she'd have to be on board. Or not on the spacecraft, obviously, but you mean on board with my scenario.
No. Ew, you sound like a creep.
I'm not, this has nothing to do with, this is out of worldly thinking. This has nothing to do with rules on the planet. This is interstellar shit.
No.
No?
No.
All right, would you watch it then?
Watch it?
Would you watch someone having space sex?
No. Ew. No.
You wouldn't want to see how that worked?
No, actually I wouldn't.
Come on.
No. I think you're weird now.
Really?
Yeah, I think what's in your head, you gross? You're like an old guy.
Listen, people are always striving to be the first or be the best. People who've been to the moon, there's only 12, and we don't acknowledge that. I just think it's crazy. But then you could take it one step further and be like, oh yeah, I was in space, but did you have space sex? What if like you went up there with your wife? A lot of these people spend a lot of time together. And maybe we'll get off the creepy stuff. What if they're married? Wouldn't you want to try it?
If they're married, that's different.
Okay, so what if we're astronauts and we're just up there for, 30 days? Wouldn't you be like, well, do you want to try to sneak one in?
How would it be possible?
Would there probably be a lot, you need, ropes and things, but I don't know. I don't know how it would work. I'd like to watch.
Start asking questions to the astronauts.
Well, I can't because nobody does an interview. Otherwise, I'd ask that. I'd be like, hey, Harrison Schmidt, have you ever heard of anyone having sex up there? He'd probably be like, yeah.
How do you not smell?
I mean, why do you think it's so weird? There's a Mile High Club that everyone's okay with. Now you just buried the Mile High Club. You had space sex. You see, I'm not that big of a creeper. The Mile High things are real.
I wish this was like live and we could ask people their thoughts on this.
People are listening right now in their car and they're like, Jeff has a point.
They want to have space sex?
Why is it okay to be a part of the Mile High Club, but not the space sex club?
I always thought like being part of the Mile High Club, it just means that it's a status thing. Like I'm a millionaire and I can have sex on my plane.
It doesn't
and
count.
Have sex.
I don't think it counts if you're on a private jet. It's got to be commercial.
There's no way you can have sex on a commercial flight now. There's no way
I never
anybody
had.
can get.
Listen, I'm not like a big sex guy and all that, so don't like get the wrong idea. This is just for the sake of conversation. But there's no challenge in having sex on your private jet. I mean, I'm sure that's happened
But you
thousands
have
of times.
the pilots and you have the flight attendant
There's bedrooms on there.
Not all private planes. I was on a friend flew us private to a country concert. There was no beds. It was just
some of them
really nice, like leather seats that we sat in, and everybody's got leg room. But you could easily, if you wanted to, with your husband or wife or whoever, go in the back and just have sex.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah, but like on that type of private plane, if you're like a Kardashian, that's different. Their private planes probably have a bed because they're going somewhere else. But I don't know. Maybe back in the early 90s, maybe you could get away with it with flying a commercial and having sex. I have no idea. But I feel like now that's impossible.
I would think so. And it's got to be like,
or unless you're going international.
I was going to say it's got to be international.
And
everyone's
it's a
got to be
huge
sleeping.
plane.
The flight attendant's got to, but there's always a flight
But
attendant.
who wants to have sex in a
that
commercial
tiny room
thing? And there's other people. It smells like
stinks.
pee, and it's just not sanitary. That's all I would be thinking about.
You know how like a toilet flushes, and I know that's like,
Yeah,
that's kind of it's got to be like that times 10, like on a spaceship. You know what I mean? Because every little particle is going to be floating around, so it's got to be like mad suction
for sure. But it's just, I just have no desire, anything with outer space. I don't care about it. I did a poll on my Instagram and there was not, actually only one person said, yes, it would be cool to go to outer space, because I did a question and guess who it was? Swine. He was the only one that said yes. Everybody else was like, no way. I just have no desire. I think it's so creepy being up there where it's dark and it's just endless.
Yeah, but
it's like
what
infinity. And that's creepy to me.
Don't you think it would change your perspective on like life and the world? Like seeing the actual, I don't know. I just feel like it'd be such a profound experience that is so limited. Like, I mean, the most limited you could get. And you maybe have a better appreciation for life. Like, wow, I could see the whole earth from where I'm at and look into the darkness, and who knows what's out there or how many other galaxies or universes there are out there. And then be like, what are we fighting about? Why we have this one moment in time that, you know, if you're lucky, lasts 100 years on this planet, and then you're gone. What are we fighting about down here? There's got to be some sort of psychological value to like seeing the earth like that. Even though I would probably, you'd have to shoot me with something so I'd be passed out, and then I'm just up there. But then I'd shit my pants while I was up there too, because I don't like flying either.
I see that. I know you're thinking of it. I see what you mean, but for me, I just don't care. I'd rather go see something here on Earth, and I think it would have more of an impact, like seeing the pyramids.
Yeah,
and the Egyptian things, like something like that. That's super far away. That it's not easy to get to, and it's something that's like a mystery, or like mummies, things like that, or going. Seeing like where Jesus walked, things like that, or like where Jesus, the tomb where he laid, things like that, I would be like really into. I just have no connection with outer space. It's just not something I care about.
Yeah, like all the wonders of the world. Those are all things I would like to see too.
Yeah.
But I mean, just put all that, you're taking it a step above the wonders of the world and putting them all together. And now when you're seeing it, I don't even know what I'm talking about, because I've never been. Are you yawning again?
What? No, it's nothing bad.
So I haven't even had a drink today. So imagine me talking about this after a couple beers. I go deep. And I love it.
Neighbors.
I love having those conversations.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's different. I just don't care about it. But I mean, you love aliens. Like, you think there's real aliens. You think there's Bigfoot.
There's gotta be.
You think there's Bigfoot. Like, I don't believe in
No, I don't think there's Bigfoot.
You
I think there was a giant creature that lived at one point.
No, are you serious?
No, there was. There was like...
No, there wasn't.
Yes, back in the day.
That's like a story.
No, it's
Somebody
not. There's like
read,
gigantic...
some grandpa read.
Paul Rudd? Oh man, do you ever see Strange? Have you guys ever seen Strange Wilderness out there? If you haven't, it's super funny. It's an old, like Joni Hill's young, Steven Zahn. Dude, it's all those guys. And his dad used to be, like a Jacques Cousteau guy, but he died and the son, Steven Zahn, takes over the business and he gets all of his goofy friends together and they have to go out and he goes, I need to make a video better than my dad's ever made. Cause he gets like animals in the wild and things like that. So they go to find Bigfoot. And then they find
That's totally a show you would watch, and that's totally something our kids would watch.
It's so old, like it's just stupid funny. It's just stupid funny. But it's they find Bigfoot eventually.
Yeah, like Jeff took me to this museum, alien museum, and it looked like a first grade project that we went to, and I can't get down with the aliens.
Well, spring is here, as everybody knows, and with spring, things start to grow, and so do our schedules.
Yes, with sports during the week, times, everything is changing. The most stressful part of my week is figuring out, okay, when are we going to have dinner? What are we having tonight? What is everybody going to like? How am I sticking to my diet? How are we all being healthy?
And that's where Hungry Root comes in. And it's so easy, even Jordan can do it. And with Hungry Root, there's something for everybody. No matter what your diet is, Hungry Root has a meal for you. I'm on a high protein diet. I love their fish and I love their Mediterranean food. That's what I usually get when I order Hungry Root. But like I said, there's something for everybody.
Since we started Hungry Root, it's made our week so much easier and a lot of stress off of my mind with meal planning.
Absolutely.
Hungry Root plans your meals for the week, filling your cart and delivering everything you need right to your door to eat healthy every day. Hungry Root takes into account your health goals, dietary preferences, and budget to curate a custom delivery for you each week.
Hungry Root learns your tastes and dietary needs over time and tailors your deliveries accordingly. Once you note an ingredient to avoid like gluten or dairy, it stays on your blocked list. Hungry Root offers over 50,000 chef-crafted recipes with many ready in just 15 minutes.
They source only high-quality ingredients like meat and seafood with no hormones or antibiotics, plus organic produce and non-GMO options. I'm very picky about our meat too and how we eat, and I love that.
And trust me, we love Hungry Root, and so will you. For a limited time, get 40% off your first order, plus a free item in every box for life. All you got to do is go to hungryroot.com/togetherness and use code togetherness.
That's hungryroot.com/togetherness, code togetherness.
And you get 40% off your first box plus a free item of your choice for life. We use Hungry Root. We love it. And so will you. You don't think there's another life form
No.
out in space? Really?
I don't. I promise you I don't.
What do you think of all these videos that pilots see every day and like fighter pilots see? You think those videos are fake and just moving at like an extraordinary rate?
I just don't believe it. I feel like if there really were aliens, somebody would have seen one.
Well, thousands of people have claimed to see them.
Yeah, but there's AI, there's stuff that people can make to make it look like aliens.
But what if aliens could?
I'm thinking of like Mars Attacks. Remember that movie?
Yeah, but that's what the traditional people think aliens are. I mean, even
you think
like
an alien's a human form?
That's exactly what I was going to say. What if they could like change their structure to just be human?
So you talk to your neighbor and you're like, "Hi, George," and then George goes in his house, and then when he's sitting down on the couch, he turns into an alien.
Dude, there's people on television. I'm like, who the fuck is that guy? They just say crazy shit. You know what I mean? I'm like, watch reality television. Half the people could be aliens. For real. And all these conspiracy people going the other way to far left, far right, they're nuts. Maybe they're here to make war among us so they don't have to come here and just nuke the planet. They're like, hey, I'll put a couple nutties on this side, a couple nutties on this side, invent social media, and everyone will kill each other.
What do you think? Aliens they cruise around the sky? And what do you think?
They might be in the water too. That's another theory. Because we've only experienced like 10% of the ocean.
Okay, now we're getting on something that I don't believe there's aliens below, but the water is very interesting to me. Like very, very, like when you go super deep, places that we've never been able to go. What's scarier to you?
The bottom of the ocean where we've never been, right? Places where we've never been, or space. What's more scary? Which would you rather do?
They're both dark.
Right. Which would you rather do? Circle the moon or go to depths of the ocean that we've never experienced?
That's a hard one. Probably the ocean. That would be scary.
With the pressure?
I know.
You're dead instantaneous. Like boom.
Yeah, but going up to space, you could be dead in 2 seconds by blowing up.
I know, but we have at least a little more experience, supposedly. They just launched that rocket. Everything's going good on there.
Why can't they come up with something where we can go to the bottom of the ocean?
Because
not
the pressure.
not a person going down there.
We do have things that go down there.
I do think that there could be something down there
there's crazy looking like fish and things down there, incrustations.
But you would have to be a crazy looking fish, I feel like, to live down there.
Because there's no sights or anything.
I know.
It's just dark and cold, and I can't even believe anything lives down there. But we've only experienced 10% of it.
Yeah.
Experienced? Explored. That's what I meant to say. I don't know. It's just when you think about those things and then life itself, it's like,
your life is small.
So small.
And then
even the Egyptians had like signs that's real.
Now
like they had
fascinates.
I swear we're not high or drunk.
That fascinates me, how they built those pyramids, and they were small.
I know.
And how tiny they were. I'm like, what did they do? And that's where you come in, where you think there's aliens that were helping them.
No, I don't think that. I think that there might have been some other technology that got erased throughout history that we might not know about.
But that's what I think. Haven't found.
And I know people are just like, listen, all they did was shave rock. I've had this conversation 1 billion times with people and smart people. And they're like, listen, you just shave the rock and put it in. But what?
Nothing.
Did you just yawn again?
Keep going.
Just the precision of the pyramids, the precision of even if you have, and there was no tools like that. The precision of it. And how it's like the structure, it's so geometrically perfect. Mm-hmm. It's just insane how they built something that large with that precision.
I know. I wish we had some drinks right now while we were talking about this.
Well, you're yawning, so apparently you're not into what I'm saying.
No, I'm into it. I told you.
Or space sex.
No, I'd rather have sex on Earth.
All right, well, let's go do that and enjoy our life down here, our boring life. We're not at the bottom of the ocean. We're not at the top of the moon. But you never know. I think in our lifetime, it will come out that there is some sort of other life form. And the reason why they kept it under wraps is because there'll be like global panic. That's what I think.
Area 51 has an alien underground?
I really do. I think we recovered some spacecrafts that we've reverse engineered.
Hide that?
Because I think there would be global panic. I think there'd be global panic if people knew that there was actually other life forms out there more technologically savvy than us. That we can't even handle our president. We can't even say switching our president from American to Democrat. We're going to have space aliens now. But it would bring us together. I feel like it would bring us together as a people.
I feel like somebody would have slipped up if there was.
I don't know. I just think
somebody would say something, and I feel like...
How did we get to where we were in such a short amount of time?
There was a guy that he figured out, oh gosh, now I'm going down the rabbit hole. I have a friend that we talk about this stuff, and he figured out how cars could run without gas. No electric, without gas. And then they said he got murdered.
Yeah, I've heard that story. I don't know if it's real.
And then they said there were like 8 scientists that got throughout, not all at one time, throughout, spaced out. Why did these guys get killed? What did they know? And they're scientists.
There's
So
some
then
strange
you
murders
go-
throughout history.
Then things like that, I'm like, wait, why did they get killed? But then like JFK, I think JFK was killed by our government.
I think so too.
Yeah. And I think there's some other people that were killed by our government, but I'm not.
And I think
go
if
there.
you discovered a way to not use oil, I know oil's used in so many products, not just, gasoline and things like that. But if you got rid of that business, and that's kind of why we're at, well, I don't know why we're at war, but I think that's a big part of it. If you got rid of that, everyone that's in power runs that industry.
Yeah.
And if you could get away with running a car on water and take that industry away, I could see how you could get murdered. Because that's all the money for all the people in the Middle East, big tycoons here. We're just talking totally out of our ass right here.
This is stuff like when we're drunk, we would talk about.
Yeah. And I think about when we first flew an airplane from the Wright brothers. When was that? Early 1900s?
I think
like
so.
The first, I don't know an exact year.
1910 or
Something like that.
Something like that.
I want to say, the first century of the 1900s. Trying to talk like I know what I'm talking about. But think about how much we've advanced and that much time. We built the pyramids 4,000 years ago. Not we, but that technology, don't you think something was lost throughout those years that maybe we could have learned from? Or like, you ever think about like the Library of Alexandria that got burned down? You know that story?
Mm-mm.
There was like all these scrolls and all this information and all the world's like information of Jesus. It got burned down.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So what if some of that, all that information of how they built the pyramids or things like that?
How did it catch on fire?
I think there was they were invading.
Oh.
They were there were so many wars over there that I forgot exactly who came over to invade, and they burned it down. So they were burning the ships. If I remember the story right, they were burning the ships, and then somehow it got up to the land and burned the Library of Alexandria down. I hope I'm not messing that up. Don't come in here for an educational podcast. Come in here for a laugh. But all that stuff fascinates me. I'm just so fascinated. I like to learn about it.
Fascinates me when I'm driving through the mountains, and the mountains are so big, and I'm like, how did they drill through the mountain? Like the tunnel?
Yeah.
Like that.
That scared me too.
Fascinates me. I'm like, how did they do this?
Without like it falling on them.
Yeah.
Like if you get one bad crack. You ever see those guys like do like iron ore where they're just like in a pick in that small like tunnel and like they break it off? Oh my God.
Or like coal mine.
Coal miners. Yeah. Like back in the day.
My mom in Southern Illinois, where my mom's from, I think they shut down all the coal mines, but a lot of my mom's cousins were coal miners.
All right. Canary in a coal
Reminds me
mine.
of, what is it? Loretta Lynn?
Oh yeah.
Isn't
Coal
that
miner's daughter. Oh, my mom loved that movie.
Did she?
Yeah.
Oh.
All right. We'll end on that note because we're like talking.
We're two idiots.
Yeah, we're two idiots trying to
With
pretend
a
like this is an
podcast.
educational podcast. We need to have an expert on. But again, Harrison Smith,
Hey, if you're
around,
an astronaut and you want to come on our podcast and talk to two idiots.
yeah, educate us. I just got some questions for you. That's all. It's not a.
Jeff really wants to know how you had sex up there, if you did.
Or I want to hear some naughty stories about what happens up there. All right, let's read a quote and we'll get out of here. The best day of your life is the one on which you decide your life is not your own. No apologies or excuses. No one to lean on, rely on, or blame. The gift is yours. It is an amazing journey, and you alone are responsible for the quality of it. This is the day your life really begins.
Yeah.
All right, guys. I hope you had a great Easter, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.